The decedent's will was self-proved, and to the best of my knowledge, the will filed for probate was never revoked by Mary Frances Tarver. No state governmental agency or charitable organization is listed as a beneficiary in this will. To the best of my knowledge, after the date of this, no child was born or adopted by the decedent. No marriage of the decedent was ever dissolved after the will was made by divorce, annulment, or declaration that a marriage was void. Decedent's last will and testament, and Georgia Tarver is requesting to act as independent administratrix in this estate, and to the best of my knowledge, she is not disqualified from any way in accepting letters testamentary in this matter, and would ask that she so be appointed, Your Honor.
Thanks, Chancellor. Hereby approve the amended order probating the will and authorize letters of testamentary.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, sir. Take care. All right, cause number 28, the state of Alan Eugene Clark.
Hi, good morning, Your Honor. Ready?
Good morning. You may proceed, ma'am.
Yes, I'm Jennifer Baccaris, and I represent the applicant in this case, Wanda J. Kramer. Ms. Kramer, would you please tell the court how you're related to Alan Eugene Clark?
I'm his daughter.
Okay, and is it true that your father passed away on August 13th, 2019?
Correct.
And at the time when he passed away, is it true that he had a fixed place of residence in Anahuac, Chambers County, Texas?
Yes.
Okay, and at the time when he passed away, well, it's been less than 4 years since he passed away. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And is it true that your father never received Medicaid benefits at any time?
Correct.
And is it true that your father left a valid last will and testament dated February 7th, 1998?
That's correct.
And do you, Your Honor, are you going to identify her, or do you want me to ask you to take judicial notice of the original will that we've already submitted to the county clerk?
Yeah, if you just get her to testify the fact that the original will has been filed with the clerk.
Okay. Yes.
Fine.
And Ms. Kramer, it's true that you've submitted the original will to the county clerk. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And to the best of your knowledge, did your father ever revoke that will?
No, he did not.
And is it true that his will named your mother, Bobby L. Clark, to serve as independent executor? Is that correct?
That's correct.
However, in this instance, it's true that there's no need for administration of the estate. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And is it true that we are asking the judge to probate this will as a muniment of title only to pass title to real property?
Correct.
Is that true? After father signed the will, did he have any other children or adopt any children after that time?
No, he did not.
And did he have any marriages that were dissolved after that time when he
No.
signed the will?
No.
And it's true that he's survived by your mother. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And is it true that there is no state governmental agency or a charity named in the will as a devotee?
Correct.
And is it true that there are no unpaid debts of his estate?
Correct.
So as far as you know, he doesn't have any debts?
None.
Okay. I don't have any further questions, Your Honor. We're just asking you to admit the will to probate as a muniment of title, and also waive the affidavit of fulfillment of terms.
Everybody admit the will to probate. Thank you, ladies.
Okay. Okay, thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you.
All right, cause number 36, state of Scott, Ron Courts, Privet. Mr. Foley.
Yes, Your Honor. I would call Mrs. Probate. Please state your name.
Catherine Probate.
And Mrs. Probate, you are the surviving spouse of the decedent, Scott Ron Courts Probate. Is that correct?
Yes.
Judge, we'd ask you to take judicial knowledge of the will that has been filed with the court, which is dated the 13th day of July, 1997.
Yes, sir. We'll do that.
The decedent died on March the 19th, 2020 in Chambers County, Texas at the age of 50 years. Is that correct?
Yes,
Obviously, 4 years have not elapsed since the date of his death. Is that correct?
yes,
And at the time of his death, he was a resident domiciled in Chambers County.
yes,
To your knowledge, the will that the court has taken judicial knowledge of was never revoked,
yes,
and no children were born after the execution of the will.
no,
He was not divorced after the execution of the will. Is that
No.
correct?
Yeah.
The will names you to serve as independent executor, and to your knowledge, there's no reason why you'd be disqualified from serving. Is that correct?
yes,
The will does not name the state, governmental agency of the state, or a charitable organization as a beneficiary. Is that correct?
yes,
Your Honor, there is a need for administration that's a non-taxable estate. And I would like to call the Mrs. Konvicka. Would you please change places with Ms. Probate? Mrs. Konvicka, you've already been sworn by the court. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Please state your full name for the court.
Gloria Konvichka.
And are you familiar with the handwriting and signature of the decedent, Scott Probate?
Yes, sir.
I'm going to show you a copy of his will with the signature. Can you identify that signature?
Yes, sir, I sure can.
And can you tell the court how you're familiar with his signature?
He is my son-in-law.
And on the 13th day of July, 1997, would he have been over the age of 18?
Yes, sir.
And would he have been of sound mind?
Yes, sir.
Past witness, would you please change places with Mr. Trahan? Your Honor, Mr. Trahan came in late and he has not been sworn.
Raise your right hand, please.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're giving is true and correct, so help you God?
I do.
And you may proceed.
Mr. Trahan, will you state your full name for the court?
Gustav Joseph Trahan.
And are you familiar with the handwriting of the decedent, Scott Probate?
Yes, I am.
And how are you familiar with that handwriting signature?
Previous business that we had together, seen his signature before.
All right. And I'm going to show you a copy of the will that has his signature. Can you identify that as his signature?
Yes,
And on the 13th day of July, 1997, would he have been of sound mind?
yes,
And would he have been over the age of 18?
yes.
Thank you. Your Honor, that's the testimony that we have. We'd ask the court to admit the will to probate and appoint Ms. Probate as the independent executor of the estate.
Go down. Take care. All right, cause number 42, the state of Wanderloo Harwell. Mr. Nelson,
Yes, sir, we're ready, Judge.
you may proceed, sir.
Thank you, Judge. I first call Wanderloo Harwell. Wanderloo Harwell died on April 13th, 2020. She's survived by a daughter, Teresa Lynn Thurman. Is that your name, ma'am?
Yes, it is.
And how many children did Miss Harwell have?
2,
And what were their names?
Teresa Lynn Thurman Harwell and Donna Ray Harwell.
And is Donna Ray Harwell, also known as Donna Navarre, also in the room at this time?
Yes,
But you and only you are offering testimony. Is that correct?
that's correct.
And at the time of her death, at the time of the death of Wanderloo Harwell, on April 13th, she was 86 years of age. Is that correct?
Yes,
Was she a resident of Chambers County?
yes,
And she had a will, did she not?
yes,
And you provided me with the will. Is that correct?
yes,
And after that time, the will was filed for probate. Is that correct?
that's correct.
And the will is dated October 23rd, 1996. Is that
Yes.
correct?
Yes,
I believe it was done by Attorney Myrna Dunn. Is that right?
no.
Oh, Dick Hine. Okay. And in any case, that is her last will and testament. Is that right?
Yes,
And a necessity exists for the administration of the estate. Is that right?
yes,
Now, we are requesting that the court take judicial notice of the last will and testament of Wanderloo Harwell dated October 23rd, 1996. If it please the court to take judicial notice of the will of Wanderloo Harwell, please.
Yes, sir.
And there was no children, and Ms. Thurman, there was no children born or adopted after the date of the will. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And your dad was Robert Harwell, is that correct?
Yes,
And however, he died in 2011, is that right?
yes,
And he was the first name executor, is that correct?
yes,
The alternate executors were you and your sister Donna.
yes,
And Donna declined to serve, is that right?
yes,
And so that leaves you to serve singularly as independent executrix, right?
yes,
And are you qualified to serve so far as you know?
yes,
And there was no gifts to any charitable organizations or any governmental entity, is that correct?
yes,
It's a non-taxable state, right?
yes,
And she never applied for Medicaid, is that correct?
yes,
You're asking the court to admit the will dated October 23rd, 1996 of Wanda Lou Harwell, and further asking that the court appoint you independent executrix to serve without bond. Is that right?
yes,
Your Honor, that's all I'd ask. I'd ask that Teresa L. Thurman be appointed independent executrix to serve without bond, and that the will dated October 23rd, 1996 be admitted, and that would conclude our testimony and proof of death.
Done. Everybody admit the will of probate, those letters. With that. Thank
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you, Melinda.
Thank you.
I'll send the paperwork down, Melinda.